Jenny, the set designer back here. Did you fix the dinosaurs up, Jenny? Mm-hmm. Okay. Something for us ADD folks to look at in the background.
Take our next question from Thomas Brown with the Union newspaper.
Hey, good morning. One of the comments on the live feed is the location of the cameras as construction moves further upstream. Is there going to be any effort to change the camera position so folks can get a little better view of what's going on in the main plunge pool?
Yeah, that's a good question. One, I think I can take that back to Parks and see if there's some way that we can change the angle of the cameras or potentially set up another viewing area.
It's Wednesday, the 23rd of August, and it's time for a brief Oroville update. We just got off the phone with a DWR media conference call, and we got a couple of good points of clarification and update on construction to date at Oroville. Remember, tomorrow, the 24th, we're going to get boots on the ground for the first time in a long time. Very excited to return to Oroville for a media tour of the construction site. So that'll be tomorrow, Thursday, the 24th of August. My name's Juan Brown, and you're watching the blancolirio channel, the only place on the internet where you're going to get continuous updates on what's going on with the construction at Oroville, especially based on the brevity of questions and the brevity of this conference call today. Quick review of everything talked about in today's press conference. Jeff Peterson from Kiewit was there, Aaron Mellon, DWR spokesperson, and Jeannie Cuttle, the chief engineer from DWR. Now, Kiewit rattles off a lot of these numbers, and sometimes it's hard to tell if these numbers all add up, because sometimes it's hard to tell what terminology Jeff is using. Leveling concrete versus roller compacted concrete, for example. The big news still is they are on track, on schedule. They're past the halfway point, of course, of this repair, with just 70 days left in this season to get the basic job done of the spillway repair. Once again, a little minor conflicting information depending on who you talk to. Aaron Mellon from DWR says the lower plunge pool is filled with RCC, and Jeff from Kiewit says the lower plunge pool is still being filled with some leveling concrete. But regardless, the lower plunge pool is darn near full, if not completely full, of leveling or RCC concrete at this time. The upper plunge pool was cleared of debris that was finished up this weekend, and the big milestone is RCC roller compacted concrete is being placed in the upper plunge pool as of yesterday. Work continues on the secant cutoff wall on the emergency spillway. They're 15% complete and still expected to finish up by December, January of this year. They're at peak employment at Oroville right now with over 600 folks employed working in double shifts. 320,000 man hours have been already spent on this job. 0 injuries. Good job, Kiewit. If you look them up on the internet, you'll see that's one of their big number one core value. Demolition overall is 100% complete. 65% of the leveling concrete has been placed. The upper spillway chute that's to remain in place is getting the daylights bolted out of it. They've placed over 900 slab anchor bolts, and that's only 30% of the total amount of slab anchor bolts they're going to place in that upper chute. Crushing of the RCC on site, 45% of the RCC aggregate has been crushed, 265,000 tons. We got some points of clarification on that RCC coming up. 20% of the RCC has been placed at 60,000 yards. Drains are being placed in between the last layers of RCC and the structural concrete. The lake is currently at 763-foot elevation, 10,700 CFS out, with a goal of achieving a 700-foot elevation by 1 November. 25 of the structural concrete slabs have been placed. And placing of the concrete in the walls is to start this week. Now let's get to some points of clarification. Let's just roll the tape.
We'll take our next question from Thomas Brown with the Union newspaper.
Hey, good morning. One of the comments on the live feed is the location of the cameras as construction moves further upstream. Is there going to be any effort to change the camera position so folks can get a little better view of what's going on in the main plunge pool?
Yeah, that's a good question. One, I think I can take that back to Parks and see if there's some way that we can change the angle of the cameras or potentially set up another viewing area.
That would be great. One of the questions on the recent, one of your recent DWR videos, the steel plates that are being inserted in the RCC, I assume that is that for expansion joints?
Jeff?
Yeah, that's correct, and they only go in at the in the upper levels of the RCC when you get close to the top, but they are visible as you work up the lower chute area.
Gotcha. And as you lay that RCC in the main plunge pool, how do we account for the slope of the spillway? As you start to fill that, do you end up like on the lower portion of the spillway, you end up working horizontally, fairly level, so the equipment doesn't slide around, and then in the final lifts achieve the desired slope of the spillway?
Yeah, that's pretty close. The very bottom holes are filled with dental concrete, which we've talked about on previous calls. That provides the level foundation to start the RCC, and in general, the RCC is always placed on a 1-foot level lift. We'll occasionally go off level to provide access to the operation, which you could probably see this week a little bit on some of the tighter access areas, but then everything's placed on a level lift, and the final edge is built on the 4-to-1 slope, which will provide the final spillway grade as we advance the elevation.
Gotcha. And one of the recent BOC reports, they were asking about, or they were talking about the need for an additional RCC plant. Are we seeing that yet, or is that need not there, or where are we at on RCC plants? Still just one?
Still just one RCC plant. I don't know anything about that report you're referencing, and so far the RCC plant is keeping up very well with production.
Okay, and aggregates, you got enough aggregates on site, or are you having to bring some in from off site?
No, everything is being produced for the roller compacted concrete. Everything is produced on site, and there's plenty of stock at the RCC so far.
Excellent. And Jeff, are you going to join the media crowd tomorrow at the tour?
Not sure yet.
No, Juan, that's going to be DWR staff that's taking you out.
Okay, very good. We'll look forward to talking to everybody then. Thanks. There were only 2 other questions from the media, and here we'll play them now.
Ryan Sabalo with the Sacramento Bee.
Yeah, hi, Aaron. You had said that there was going to be some sort of report issued within a couple weeks ago about the green spot. What's the timeline on that?
Yeah, very soon. We are just still working on it, finalizing it, and plan to get it out in the coming weeks. Thanks, Ryan. If that's your only question, I think we can move on.
Yeah, that's all I got, yeah.
Great, thanks.
We next move to Ellen Nicknair with Associated Press.
Hi, all. See, Aaron, you all posted in the past few weeks what I think were FERC reports kind of summing up conditions at the dam annually, and I noticed all the yearly reports had requests in there for DWR to come up with a long-term plan for improved monitoring at the dam for problems. Can you talk about that a little bit, including what DWR specifically has done over the past few years to increase and improve monitoring for problems that could be public safety problems?
Yeah, Ellen, I can follow up with you personally because I did get your email about that yesterday, and I'm working on the response for that. But this crew is not the one that. This is a construction update, so we don't have the right people in the room here to talk about monitoring or security measures at Oroville. But I do have a response drafted.
Okay, you posted those reports on your Oroville Dam site, so I thought it kind of fell into it. But please do answer the questions. They've been out for a while now.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, as a reminder, it's star one, please. And it appears we have no further questions in the queue at this time.
Well, there you have it, all the other scintillating questions asked today by others at today's DWR media conference briefing. Now let's look at some DWR video footage that was shot just yesterday, or posted just yesterday, the 22nd of August. Now I gotta confirm this, but I believe that this big steel form structure just below the upper spillway is going to be the cutoff wall to protect the upper spillway from erosion if in the event that RCC erodes too much during this one season. Here's the steel I-beams that are going into the training walls, a much beefier design than the original design. I do not remember seeing any I-beams like this in the destruction of the old spillway. Very dangerous work with all the cranes and tall structures requiring harnesses. Plenty of beefy rebar. Next you can see the slab and wall anchor bolts right there. Note the taper on these training walls. By comparison to these structural training walls, down here on the lower spillway are the big fat RCC training walls for the RCC section of the spillway. Here's how they get the final slope or grade of that spillway. Leveling concrete to fill the moonscape. Grade the RCC out with the help of the GPS antennas on top of the dozer blade and roller compact it to a 12-inch lift. Level. And this is why you got to rebuild the spillway from the bottom up. Alright, leveling concrete finally off to the side of the giant, large upper plunge pool. There it is, the deepest part of the whole plunge pool, just off to the left side of the spillway. Lowering the prefab epoxy primer rebar into the structural spillway forms. Lots of work going on all fronts. 600 men working round the clock in 2 shifts. Over 320,000 man hours so far. 0 injuries. That's what Kiewit does. Thanks again for your continued support and subscription to this channel. Looking forward to heading to Oroville tomorrow and checking out the situation firsthand. I'll have that update as soon as I can right here. See you here. And remember too, when you subscribe on YouTube nowadays, if you want to get the immediate updates when these videos become available, you got to click on the little bell up there by the subscription page.